My, do we have some great footage tonight, and welcome viewers to the Daily Space Weather Show. Tonight we're showing, that's 1 week from SDO, showing the transit of that crazy sunspot group. No X-class flares from it yet, but you still can't rule out the possibility for another over 24 hours. You can see the size of the filaments that it is suspending there at the end of the video. Huge filaments that are millions of kilometers in length. And me oh my, do we have some good stuff tonight. So some close-ups of that sunspot as it is setting. Here's the equatorial view, 304 angstroms, the classic wavelength. Massive plasma filaments pointed at Earth once again. No less than half a dozen gigantic ones. Some of which you can see there, those rope-like figures right in the center of the solar disk. And here's that setting sunspot group. And it is still the T-mass, the most active sunspot. And it will likely continue to be the most active sunspot for over 24 hours. Did you know that we just designed some cycling jerseys? Yeah, we've got a bunch of merch, and you can check it out in the links below the video. This one's not available yet, but I'm showing you the prototype because you're watching this daily space weather content, so there you go. It's that's what it looks like. The shoulder has an SDO image, and then you've got the new logo, the @ social media links, and then the new logo on the back. Just figured I'd bring it up, and if you want to check it out, you can check it out on Instagram. Go follow us over there if you like some behind-the-scenes stuff. Again, that might become available at some point to the general public. We have to test it out first, so a prototype has to be ridden in the wind. Here we've added 193 angstroms to add a little bit of depth to those filamentary features. These are all 24-hour videos at 30 frames per second. Now we do have a pretty bonkers filament down there in the southeast as well. There's a good scale of that, and that material is moving around at tens of thousands of kilometers per second. And of course, the surface of the closest star is a very alien world indeed. If anybody's telling you that the weather on the sun is just like the weather on the Earth, well, it's vastly different, folks. Stars aren't like planets. I can't believe I have to say that, but you've got people that make ridiculous comparisons. And we'll get to coronal holes and so forth here in a minute. Once again, yeah, that's a 1 week video just to show the transit of that crazy sunspot group. And that has been a good one. But let's move on to see what's going on planet Earth. Shivaluch is erupting. Semaru, 15,000-foot ash plume over Semaru. Please do not pole vault the caldera. Dacono exploding, Santiaguido exploding, 14,000-foot ash plume. Fuego, emissions continue. Sangay, 19,000-foot ash plume. Revenador, Sabancaya, 24,000-foot ash plume as it explodes. And Ertaale there, showing some anomalies. I can't believe we don't have any satellite imagery of Ertaale. If anybody wants to bring some up and share them with us, do it over on Twitter. x.com/smashomash, or on Instagram. We'll share it on the channel. There's got to be a thermal anomaly, as Ertaale is like a pit volcano. And yeah, if there's lava coming out of it, it should clearly show up on the satellite image. So as far as earthquakes go, no major quakes over the past 24 hours. There are the past 90 days. These are the quakes of the 5 and greater magnitude, like the Philippines had a 5.0. Kermadec Islands had a 5.5 at depth, nearly 180 kilometers. Near the Mariana Islands, there was a 5.1. at 9:09, not to be confused with the drum machine, and that's it. Only 3.5 or greater magnitude quake events. Radio flux is at 211. I'm sorry, 199. 199 is the new radio flux. It's dropped below 200, following that new peak. And that's probably still not the peak. And leave us a comment if you think sunspot number is going to get over 300 at some point during solar cycle 25. I'm leaning toward yes myself, but let us know in the comments what you think. Will sunspot number make it to 300? Sunspot number is the red line there for the past year. The past year of black line there, that is the 10.7 centimeter radio flux. Oh, what? It's down to 167. All right. 167 is the new radio flux number. A rapid dip coming way down here. And that's higher highs and higher lows you're seeing on that graph as we get closer and closer to solar maximum. Now, NOAA's not forecasting anything except some geomagnetic unrest, which could be happening right now into early tomorrow morning, but then that's it. So there's NOAA's forecast, rather. NOAA's Enlil spiral animation, not really showing anything there. Coronal hole high-speed stream expected to show up, I don't know, not until the end of that, I guess. As far as ESA's Enlil spiral, looking a little more consistent with what the channel's been forecasting. And, yeah, that looks about right. In fact, that's what we've been saying. So we'll also let you know later in the video if we've got any new CMEs headed in Earth's direction. I think there is one more, believe it or not. So anyway, that's what ESA has to say. ESA is expecting a CME impact long ago. Well, or one coming soon. There we go. One coming soon. The 25th. Yeah, so any minute we could see a CME impact. Will it be extreme or will it be minor? It's showing a peak of about 32 protons per cubic centimeter, something like that. So it all depends on the magnetic fields, folks. It all depends on the magnetic fields. So the CMEs, they carry their own magnetic field, and when it shows up, it interacts with the Earth's. So here are the past 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. And we've got we've got a very slow solar wind right now. So if we do see a signal here, we should see something. But we are not seeing anything for the past 4 hours, the time frame depicted in the geospace magnetosphere movies. Ground magnetic perturbations are the same thing. They are calm. They are calm and chill. Chill and calm. So we've got better looking data than we had yesterday, though. Yesterday we had some really garbagey looking data. Some garbagey looking trash data. Remember, folks, the impacts are coming. Multiple impacts. KP index is at 0.67, so consistent with a very slow and diffuse solar wind, which is what we have. So according to the ACE, about 1 proton per cubic centimeter at less than 300 kilometers per second, so exceedingly slow solar wind there measured by the ACE. Discover is nothing even like that at all, about 450 kilometers a second. So very different readings there. And we did see a signal here, but it was very brief. Just a brief little plasma filament showing up there at the Discover, only lasting less than an hour. Anyway, so yeah, the current conditions there are about 5 protons per cubic centimeter at about 450 kilometers per second, which is very, very moderate, very nominal, very average, near the median, whatever you want to say. GOES magnetometers are calm, like space weather in general right now. And Earth's position in a South Pole magnetic sector is coming. by tomorrow's video. So if you remember yesterday, I said there'll be about a 36-hour time frame to reach the South Pole-oriented magnetic sector, as we don't see a lot of volatility in the southeastern limb right now. So that's looking like a forecast that stands for magnetic, sector boundary crossings. Next, our line of sight field plot. And like I said, things aren't volatile right now in the east. So you're seeing a pretty fanned out, pretty stable B field there, depicted in those blue potential field surface source lines. Coronal hole line of sight plot is next. We do have some South Pole-oriented coronal holes rotating in here. They'll begin to, well, they're looking pretty weak, but they should gain some definition in the coming days. Let's switch over to the 211 angstroms. There you go. Those South Pole coronal holes showing up pretty well there. So the sector boundary crossing is less than a day out. And that brings us to the sunspots. Sunspots are next, and they've dropped down to about 211 sunspots. That's the sunspot number, according to Rob. And if you enjoy the content, don't forget to press the like button. Press the like button. Tell your friends and foes about the channel. And if you're new, press subscribe, unless you don't want to see the world's most comprehensive daily space weather content and most detailed solar imagery. If you don't want that stuff, then definitely do not subscribe. Also visit the links below the video. We think you should visit the links. Methinks you should visit the links. Yeah, that's a thing. So yeah, sunspot number here is dipping with a bunch of setting sunspot groups in the west. And no new groups forming or rising to replace those yet. So sunspot number will continue to dip here. We've got multiple. We'll see a rapid decline in sunspot number unless something rapid happens in the meantime. The trend is toward a huge dip in sunspot number. And let's don't get ahead of ourselves. There are sunspots, and we've also included the 171 angstroms there to highlight the active regions. This is a way to actually predict where sunspots may form, as you'll see the lower quiet corona start to become more organized in areas where there are plages. Plages are the areas that aren't quite sunspots but are magnetically organized. So things have been quite stable here as far as sunspots for the past 24 hours. What do we have? Is there one more group? It looks like a new group may have formed there. Hold on a minute. Nope. Nothing new, really. So yeah, things pretty stable there for the past 24 hours. Next we've got energetic particles. Not really. There is just a tiny little bit of a nudge on the baseline there from the ghost proton flux. We did have a long duration M-class event there in the past 24 hours. It was minor, no major flares. The likelihood of a major flare remains, however, very, very high. Very high likelihood of a major flare. And before we get to that stuff, like solar system forecasts, let's move to the flare wavelengths. There we go. There's 131 and 131. That was helpful. Yes, I used 131 plus 131 there. And here we've put 171 along with it. 171 plus 131 is a great couple of wavelengths to view plasma filaments in the lower corona. You get great definition of those granular regions there in between all those sunspots. Some very high magnetohydrodynamic pressure in those areas, wouldn't you say? That is a high-pressure magnetic environment. Kind of the opposite of a coronal hole, which is a low-pressure environment where the pressure is so low that it blasts particles off into space. Speaking of which, we'll get to that as well. But first, a solar system forecast. People want to know where things are located, so we show them. And I like to use the planetstoday.com. It's a great visual aid. There's where things will be in a week. Mercury is coming out of retrograde, folks, so that means a thing for somebody. It means a thing, so congratulations on the thing that it means. Because if you think it means a thing, then it probably does mean a thing. But does it really mean a thing, or does it only mean a thing because you think it means a thing? Otherwise known as the placebo effect. Which is very real, by the way. Very real. Mind over matter is a thing. Anyway, this is what's going on over our head. I like to use skyandtelescope.org's lovely star chart for that as the sun chases Venus to the horizon. Today's featured apod.nasa.gov photo is NGC 604. It's actually in a different galaxy, part of the spiral arms of M33, a galaxy that I like so much that I used it as a label for a CD. Yes. The first LP that our record label produced actually used M33 as the label. I think it's called the Pinwheel Galaxy. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, the giant stellar nursery there, it's an area of some action. And it's 100 times the size of the Orion Nebula. So yeah, if you look at M33, you can see these huge active regions there out in the spiral arms. It is one of those, probably this one up here. Yep, that's a thing. NGC 604 from the New General Catalog. Moving on to CMEs, and what do you got? What do you got? What do you got? There's one out of the east. There's one out of the southwest, another out of the southwest, and I think one of those out of the southwest is earthly directed. So what you're seeing here is two separate events happening at the same time. I paused it here on purpose around 1400 because you can see this CME popping off right here. You see right at 1400, you see one popping off in the southwest. See that? But then at 1424, you can see a second event happening there. Now, that could be part of the same CME or a different one. I think it looks like a different one. So you've got one, and then you've got two happening at the same time. The second one there is earthly directed. The first one, not. So it can be very deceptive, and we get these things called stealth CMEs. So if you don't know what you're looking at, you might miss it. Stereo A missed it. It doesn't have the data from those times. So that's useless. And one of these filaments blasts off. So, all right, maybe not. Well, hold on a minute. Let's go to our custom coronagraphs first. Custom coronagraphs, please. There we are. How you like that, folks? Technology, it's so good. And here at the Smash News Network, Lee's Busted Name and News, we limit the amount that you have to use and pull your hair out. So we make these videos ourselves so you don't have to. And of course, with the continued emphasis on private space flight, videos like this will become more and more important. So now, you know what? I stand corrected. I don't think that is an Earth-directed CME. There is some activity from in here, but I don't think it led to an ejection. So I think those two CMEs out of the southwest are both from this active region, and that we only have the ones that are already on the way. I don't think this past 24 hours includes any extra Earth-directed CME events. We're not seeing any filaments going missing. And yeah, those are just I don't think those are earthly directed. What happened? Please play. Please play. Thank you. Yep, so great views there, but nothing too exciting going on. And let's get back to filaments. Back to filaments, folks. So yeah, look at all those filaments pointed at Earth. The Larry David filament is right in center disk right now. Right in center disk, the Larry David filament. If that one ejects, could it end civilization? Well, the answer is no. Here's an even better view of it. That is just good stuff right there. And of course, follow the hashtag #NameThatFilament over on X. Once again, a reason to be over there. Whether you like Elon Musk or not, I just do not care. And so, yeah, it's a great place to share auroras. There are all kinds of super important and interesting space weather and other science people over there making fun of chemtrails on the regs and putting up lovely photographs of naturally occurring cloud formations. So, yeah, that's one of our favorite pastimes over there, is being instigators in a chemtrail conversation and saying, no, that they still don't exist. Nope, that's not proof they exist either. Nothing is. Nothing is proof that chemtrails exist. Sorry. Mankind doesn't control the weather on a large scale. Or really at all. I mean, mankind really doesn't control the weather at all. I mean, cloud seeding controls the weather. Not really. The water has to be up there already, right? You can't control the major wind. I mean, it's just... These are the past couple of hours from the GOES 16 SUVI. Again, X-class solar flare watch remains in effect. Here come bonus features, starting with satellite charging hazards, and we ain't got none. GOES electron flux is right around the warning levels there. Don't be frightened of the GOES electron flux. That's happening at the F layer of the ionosphere out in space. Here is the 1-year graph of the relativistic electrons. There's the forecast model from NOAA. And they're expecting a dip, so it's NOAA continues with sort of a half-hearted CME impact forecast. Here is the diagram of the layers. It's showing you the temperatures of the atmospheric layers. It's showing you the penetration of electromagnetic radiation, and then it's showing you the chemical concentrations of the atmospheric layers. This is the F layer. Don't be effed. Understand the bridge between Earth and space. It's called the ionosphere because there are more particles that are ions than neutral. Neutral atmosphere is meteorology. Ionosphere and up is space weather. Don't get them confused. Many channels do, and they sound it. So that's the vibrational frequency of the F layer. In megahertz, here's the anomaly. And you're not going to see a lot of anomaly there because things are really kind of boring for space weather right now. So there's quite a lot of blue there, not a lot of red. And a lot of red is the hallmark of geomagnetic storm conditions. Low frequency anomaly. That's anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. Yes. Next, the WAM, the whole atmosphere model, because the TEC, or total electron content, that's showing you electrons from the ground level at your GPS handset all the way up to about 12,500 miles of altitude. That's the TEC. The maximum usable frequency is for radio operators. It's showing you what part of the ionosphere you can refract a signal with and what time of day you can do it. Maximum usable frequency, total electron content, along with their anomalies. Cheers. High-res images are where we close out space weather. These are the data that I would be looking at if I wasn't sharing it with you and really concerned about every little thing that's going on when it comes to space weather. Next, Earth weather. We'll bring it all the way down to the lower 48. These are the surface winds of the east, the jet streams of the central world, and your surface winds. Shout out to our viewers from all around the planet, timeline, plane of existence, universe, galaxy, solar system, planet, hemisphere, county, etc. Surface winds of the east. I mean the western world, and the jet streams of the western world. There you have it, folks. Next, our satellite imagery for the Americas. Ah, how sweet it is. Nothing like springtime in Pennsylvania. It's just absolutely spectacular. Again, follow us on Instagram. You'll see the evidence. Oops. All right, so yeah, that's what's going on. We got a bunch of stuff going on in the middle of the country for the next couple of days, meteorologically speaking. And here's the satellite imagery from windy.com. Did you know they have a great mobile app that you can download for free? Yeah. Look at that. Fantastic satellite imagery. It's actually showing you you can see like different cloud layers. There are upper level clouds there as well as lower clouds. You got those low clouds over places like Alexandria, Louisiana, and Shreveport. And then you've got higher clouds above the lower clouds over Dallas. 2 layers of clouds. And none of them are made by HARP. HARP clouds, that's not a thing. HARP affects the polar ionosphere. Weather happens in the troposphere. Many dozens of kilometers at lower altitude than that. Next, our weather.gov map. If your location is lit, stay tuned. We're going to show you the key. We've got a bunch of tornado warnings there, flash flood warnings, rather, in Missouri, and parts of Kansas. And freeze warnings continue. So cover your plants with straw, plastic, and things. Immerse your plants in stuff so that they don't freeze solid. Some winter weather there in Montana and Wyoming. Also, it looks like Washington and Oregon. So here is our forecast. And check it out. Severe storms are going to pop up here in about 3 days. Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, Missouri, Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin. And that's going to just sweep to the northeast. So that we're going to have some major storms coming. That is a serious band of storms. That will have Reed Timmer preparing to head to Oklahoma, probably. Reed Timmer, he's coming to Oklahoma. Watch. Mark my mark my merds. We've got some very warm air going to show up at the Great Lakes. And cold air continuing in the mid-Atlantic states. 72-hour GFS temperature anomaly forecast in degrees Celsius. We'll close out with lightning. Oh, the jet stream. Yeah, that's what's causing things to happen. The jet stream, it drives your weather from west to east, wherever in the world you are. The jet streams are driving most of your weather, predominantly from west to east. Facts. So here's lightning. We did have some significant lightning there over especially Arkansas. Right now, we had some south of Kansas City, and we still do. Yeah. Hey, Nevada. Not the state, the town of Nevada. There's thunder rolling in. In Missouri. Yes. Quite a bit of lightning there. South Dakota. Even parts of Utah seeing some lightning strikes. Doppler's next. We got to close this thing out. It's got to get on your screen eventually. There's Doppler for the 50 states. There's Doppler for the lower 48. A mixed bag of showers, snow, and rain in the northwestern part of the country. There is the satellite imagery. No, you can't see chemtrails, since they're not a thing. Check it out. We have loitering moisture there over eastern Kansas and Missouri. And there's a huge pressure gradient there as well. You can see to the west of it, there's that dry mass of air right there. That is creating an atmospheric waterfall, in effect. Anyway, there is your Doppler radar. It's your recap. Visible satellite. Love the visible satellite. And there is the water vapor map. And here is me closing out. Thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And until next time, may that solar wind be at your back.